We would like to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet today and pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging.
Kia ora, I'm Lou.
Welcome to Xena Warrior Nutballs. Hey Lou, it's our 10th interview. Can you believe it?
I can't. We're a third of the way through our journey, our little adventure we're going on.
I know, right? So we should probably explain again what we're doing here, right? To the old nutballs, just to remind them.
Yes, that's very true.
And to our new nutball listeners as well.
Welcome in.
Hey, yeah. To celebrate the 30th anniversary of Xena Warrior Princess, which was last year, 4th of September, 2025, we are aiming to interview 30 New Zealanders and Australians who brought this favourite 90s show to life, although there are some exceptions.
There are some exceptions, like today's guest. We get to extend our whānau. And whānau is family in Te Reo Māori, the first language of Aotearoa New Zealand.
So we've got to cut straight to the chase. It is my favourite all-time character ever in the Xena-verse. It's Callisto!
It's Hudson Leick.
My favourite. Can you believe it?
I cannot. I'm still completely dissociated about the fact that we've had a real conversation with this magnificent, wonderful human.
She really is.
She is. She's so wonderful. You may have seen the timestamp on this episode. It's a long one. She was so wonderful and generous that even towards the end of our interview with her, when we first got in the room, we kind of noted we weren't really getting through our questions because we were having such a cool vibe chat. She offered us a second round of chatting. So you guys don't get one, you get 2 rounds of interviews with Hudson Leick today.
And it was wasn't it just so easy chatting too? Like just chilling out, having a chat, having a yarn.
It was the nicest, most wholesome time. Like I felt like she could just see straight into me. She was so wonderful.
She did. She looked straight into our souls and just hung out.
She did. Shal, this was a pretty big, exciting one for you. Your favourite ever.
Mate, I was completely freaking out.
You were freaking out. She was. Well, maybe you're the best position to explain who is Callisto to the Xena-verse.
Who is Callisto? All right. In my opinion, Callisto is the ultimate villain ever to be on television. She is. Everything about her, all her layers, what makes Callisto, the vulnerability.
Should we get into like the specifics, the nitty gritty of like what created Callisto? So she, as a young kid, Xena and her like warlording gang rocked up and they burnt down their village and killed her mum, her dad, and her little sister.
Wow. The ultimate Xena villain in Xena was created by Xena herself. That's deep. Like, because all our sort of villains that we have internally created.
Oh, God, here we go.
By us, man. You know? Or like, it's...
I know. It's someone's been to therapy that's on the writing team, that's for sure. But
yes.
One thing that I love about Callisto, right, is that when she shows up, she's wearing black and Xena's wearing brown. She's got blonde hair. Xena's got black hair. She's like the opposite but the same. She's a yin but she's a yang. But she's also like, she's the literal personification of Xena. And I think I've said this before, so I'm trying to pretend like I'm really intelligent, but I'm just regurgitating the same shit.
I was there.
She's
like, aren't we listeners? Aren't we like hanging on Lou's words right now?
Stop. Like, you don't need to entertain this. Okay, she is like the literal personification of Xena's dark past, right? Like she is a version of evil Xena in a way. She's coming back and she's haunting her constantly, trying to kill everything she loves.
Yeah, and she goes from human to immortal to god to demon to angel to mother of Xena's child and the child itself. Fuck, you thought Gabrielle's arc was good.
one is like never been seen before, never will be seen again on TV.
Probably never be seen again.
No, wait, Shell, before
Yeah.
we move on, I have to say one of my favorite things about... Oh, hold on, wait, let me put a question to you. Let me put a question to you.
Okay, I'm excited.
Okay, Shell, there's a real...
God, we're fucking nerds.
There are only a very small handful, a select few exclusive elites in this universe that can catch the chakram. There are 4 of them.
4. Okay. Well, Xena.
Yes, nailed it. Tick.
Right. Callisto. The
She's the
best.
second person we ever see. And damn, that girl like fingers it and everything. It's
Fingers the
weird.
fuck's sake. Do you have to say that? Can't say that.
She does. Anyway, sorry, we won't.
You're
get onto
dirtying the
fact that
podcast.
Chakram's like
Okay.
a sign for a vagina. But anyways,
How is it? What?
do you not know that?
Oh my. This is the problem with you new Xena fans. The chakram is a vagina
Because of the circle.
because it's a circle.
It's a flying vagina.
It's
How
a
did you
flying
not know?
vagina. See, hey, the OGs out there. No, you're with me, team.
No, they're into it.
You guys are reading really okay. All right, so Xena,
Okay, so Xena.
Callisto,
Yes.
oh Gabrielle,
Yes, the girl with the chakram, the end of A Friend in Need.
yes. No, I don't know. Oh, Olivia.
Yes. Who else has the power but Callisto and Xena's baby girl?
Oh, this is such a good episode. Like, this is the ultimate. It's Callisto.
She is absolutely wonderful. She's stunning, wonderful, amazing, terrifying all at once. She's got this like almost like baby doll quality to her, but she's like horror movie-esque, but she's also just beautiful and flamboyant and campy. She's
And there's softness that comes through the eyes as well. So that's how I think that's what makes us connect so much with Callisto, because you see this sadness behind the eyes. It's the yeah. You know, it's funny because I always think of like, oh, I go like Xena, Gabrielle, and then it's like Callisto for me. She's
right there.
She's right there, man.
It's crazy. She's only realistically in a handful of episodes, like a handful out of the 134.
All right, Lou. So what actual episodes was Callisto in? Because you're like the walking Xenopedia.
I do like my specifics.
You do, mate.
So, well, the character themselves actually kind of appears in the greater good. One episode before, Hudson Leick appears as Callisto in her named episode, Callisto. And then season 2, she comes back as Return of Callisto, of course.
Yep.
Then we have actually season 2 is that amazing and intense time where Lucy Lawless breaks her pelvis, and so Hudson Leick gets the big phone call to come on down and play Xena and Callisto's body in Intimate Stranger and 10 Little Warlords.
Yep. What would you do if you were in Xena's body?
What would I do if I was in Xena's body?
Yeah. I would throw a chakram, man. I'd throw a chakram.
You'd throw the flying vagina.
Yeah. I would throw the flying vagina, yeah.
So in season 2, she's also an unnecessary evil.
Which is my favourite episode of Callisto's, I reckon.
And we have a really great chat about that.
Yes.
Season 3, she comes back with maternal instincts,
Yeah, and there was a lot of crossovers into her.
which she talks about a little bit, her time on the set. And season 3, she's also in Bittersweet and Sacrifice Part 1 and Part 2.
Oh, she has been in some stellar episodes.
Season 4, she was in Ides of March. In season 5, she was in Fallen Angel, and her last appearance in the entire franchise was in Seeds of Faith.
Talking to her throughout that, I would go in and out of going, holy fuck, that's Callisto, man. Story. The voice.
Having to like check
the
yourself
hands.
out.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was probably the quietest I've ever been in an interview, to be honest.
Understandably, it was very exciting. You're right, like her voice, her like gestures, her mannerisms. Like, I'm not saying that Hudson Leick is Callisto, but there's this familiarity there for us as fans. It was really cool.
Yeah, the teenager me was just going ballistic.
So one thing you might notice, there are a few things going on in the background noise-wise for us during these interviews. Shelley, you've got your crows.
Yeah. The Australian wildlife again, sorry.
Going hard. And we also have this really incredible the chant of the goddess, a Hindu chant that Hudson has playing in the background while so you might hear it dip in and out as we're going through the interview.
Yeah, guys. So that's just, that adds to the ambience.
We love it.
The ambience of Hudson's voice that's like butter. How
slick is it?
Mate.
I know.
Such a beautiful voice.
A really cool thing about chatting with Hudson was, for me, it was really meaningful to hear her use some te reo Māori words. So she obviously, when she came over to Aotearoa, to New Zealand, she really had a lot of like love and respect for our culture. She was making friends with people. She was like becoming part of her own little whānau, her own little families over here. And she was picking up on culture. She mentions that she went to a marae, which is like the Māori meeting houses. She loves haka, which is the Māori war dance. Yeah.
It's so cool.
If you haven't ever seen one, go Google the All Blacks opening haka. It's something to behold.
The rugby, that's it.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really cool stuff in there.
Yeah, you can see why she is part of the whānau, hey?
Yeah. And it was nice to have that reflected through someone else from a different culture. Yeah, it was cool.
Oh, and she actually mentioned tall poppy syndrome.
Yeah, and I guess we should give a little bit of like context for tall poppy syndrome. So tall poppy, it just means if you can visualize like a field of poppies, you know how you want them all at that beautiful same height. If one grows a bit too big, what do? You come along with a pair of scissors and you cut it down. So keep everything in the same height. So we punish people for success. And look, I want to be clear that like this originates in Australia and New Zealand from like deep-seated cultural roots in egalitarianism and like equality. Like we like people to all have a fair go, but I mean, it has its ups and downs. So Hudson does talk about her experience of that in New Zealand, and she's quite frank about it. So gird your loins, Kiwis and Aussies.
Gird your loins. Yeah, it's funny that you were saying that though. I remember listening to an interview with Lucy Lawless about how her brothers would say, "Stop being a show off."
Yeah,
and that's a thing that's very Australian, New Zealand as well. It's like don't get too big for your boots and stop being a show off.
We would do better, Kiwis and Aussies. We would do better to be able to celebrate each other and celebrate our successes a lot more. I think smell the roses.
Totally. I think we're getting better at it too. You know,
we are.
Yeah, I think we need to acknowledge too that Hudson is a really beautiful, wise teacher, and she does talk lots about mental health. So there's a bit of a trigger warning in this that she does talk about suicide. She does talk about her beautiful friend that takes her own life.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Shao. That's a really important thing to flag. Yeah, and that same friend is actually a Kiwi, and we're lucky enough that she actually shares some really nice stories about a few different people that she met in New Zealand that made up her whānau. Yeah.
And guys, you know, not only are you going to hear lots of Australian bird life, you're also going to hear Lou just clapping a lot. I think she really enjoyed to clap. She just clapped away. She's had everything else. Give it a clap. See, claps away.
Yeah, look, when I think it's my tell when I am so thrilled in an interview and I am enjoying myself so much, you can hear me doing
clapping
this in
away.
The background because I literally have no words. Often I'm gasping for air because I'm laughing so hard. That's why I clap to signal to the guests that I'm really enjoying myself.
It's true. You do have that laugh.
It is true.
Yeah. Weasley Muttley laugh.
Without fail.
Do you want to clap us into the interview?
Mate.
Hey, I know, you could clap and then I could go, here comes trouble. See?
Today, we are absolutely delighted to welcome Hudson Leick into our extended whānau, our extended family. She came shrieking and cackling onto our screens as the indelible, the hysterical, the toxic ex-girlfriend we all wish we had. She's Callisto. No mai, haere mai. Welcome to you, Hudson.
Hello, Hudson.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you so
thanks
much
for being
here.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
All right. So let's, I guess, take it back to the very beginning, Hudson. How did you score the role of Callisto on Xena?
Well, I had seen Hercules and I thought it was dreadful. And I remember I was doing a terrible movie at the time, and we were filming in someone's living room. And I remember it came on the TV, Hercules, and I was like, I had to stop. I was like, what this is the worst show I've ever seen in my life. Like, oh my God. And I was just, I couldn't not watch it because I was like, I was so blown away with my judgment of how bad it was. And Alex Tidings and I had ran into each other in and out of each other's lives in my early days in LA. And I just thought she was the coolest. She was just so smart and beautiful and just like the epitome of cool. She was just cool. And she was like, "Oh yeah, I did Hercules." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, I did Hercules." And I was like, "Oh my God." If that woman could do Hercules. So when Xena came up, I had never seen it. I knew it was connected to Hercules, so I had my prejudice about it at first. But because I had admired Alex so much, I was like, yeah. And so I remember reading it. And I also, because I was so stubborn, because I saw Hercules and all the women were like oozing out of their tops.
Yes.
On purpose, when I was auditioning, I wore a skirt down to the ground, to the ankles, and I wore a shirt, and it was form-fitting, but it was to my wrists. It wasn't low cut.
I love that
I
so
was like,
much.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
Which is hilarious because I end up in a black leather bikini. But with that, it's still so that's the beginning of it. And I don't remember how I even, the acting world, it's been so long since I've acted, but back in the day, it's just paint on the wall. Like the agents get auditions that they think possibly you will be able to get into the room, and they see if it sticks. And they don't know what your type is because you're really young. They don't know you well at that time.
Yeah.
And I'd never played an evil character before. So
wow.
Yeah, that was the beginning of it. Just unknown.
So that was your first villain role and your first role as an evil warlord.
I mean, I played a lot of spelling stuff, and spelling is like Aaron Spelling and Melrose Place and 90210. That, and so it's like bubblegum, and the women characters can be really bitchy and very overly sexual and sleep with everybody. And when I say over sexual, that sounds like a judgment, and it felt more gratuitous rather than someone claiming their own being. And that's just how it was in the 90s. That's just how it was. So I had played really bitchy character on, there was a short-lived show that Spelling did called University Hospital. And I was like the Heather Locklear, like the bitchy, slutty nurse. So I had done that. In Vancouver. And I think it ran 10 episodes or maybe 8. I don't know. I don't remember. But so that was kind of it wasn't a dark character, but it was kind of just not a pleasant necessarily character.
Wow.
Do you mind? I'm not sure if it's coming from you or Shab, but there's this beautiful chanting sound I can hear coming through my headphones.
Yeah. Let me move you because I like to play it in the background all the time for myself.
No, I was going to say that's totally fine. Well, I'm happy to. I just wanted to double check.
Yeah, it's
good.
It cleanses the energy. So as long as you don't mind.
Oh, I love that.
I think let's keep it. Yes. I think that imbues exactly what we want into this conversation.
It's also the chant of the goddess. So it's honoring, it's a Hindu chant, which is like over 7,000 years old of honoring the goddess.
Is this Kali energy we're talking? Okay, cool, man. Yeah, that's very cool.
Well, I might pick up from where we just were. So we're talking a little bit about Callisto, right? She's high intensity. She's been described as a murder Barbie, a chaos goblin. I'm just so interested as the person that played her. How did you find portraying her kind of came at a price at all for you?
Of course. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, it wasn't as dark as like Heath Ledger and the Joker, but it still had that feeling of like you're in deep misery all the time, although there's such joy in killing and causing problems.
Yes.
But underneath that, it's never satisfying. There's no
Yeah.
satisfaction ever. And I think playing a villain is really important. Like, we need good villains. We need good stories that have good villains because we can all relate to it. You know, it's somewhere, even if it's subconscious, because we all have shades of dark and light in us. We all have that. And if we see
Of
something
course.
that clearly we can stamp as bad, although it's not to me anyways. They would make it one dimensional if I just played her bad at that time. But they're great poems to try to serve us to recognize something so we can climb out of that, if possible.
Yeah, that's that duality of being. We exist in two. It's the yin and yang, isn't it? It's the
Yeah. And right now, especially, like, if you look at the world and what's happening, and the world is always going to be the world. It's always going to be the world. There's always going to be someone killing someone else, someone serving someone else, someone saving someone else. It's because we have that dichotomy, and you can't force people to grow or to look at their shadow side. You can't. It's then you become the shadow itself. But when we're willing, we can light our own candle and go forward, as my teacher says. Just when you get overwhelmed with how dark the world can seem sometimes, even internally, light your own candle, no matter how small it is, and walk forward. Because if you're in complete blackness, it only takes a small candle to bring light to that darkness, to dispel the darkness.
That is so true. That's
so
beautifully put. To go back to Callisto, I've always wanted to ask you, so kind of creating this character Callisto, she's been labeled with a whole host of kind of diagnoses, things like ADHD, PTSD from her childhood trauma, even sociopath. I'm wondering, how do you kind of go about interpreting her behavior?
Great question. I don't, all those terms, they've been around for a long time, but they're much more popular to use now. And in some ways that's helpful, in some ways that's just labeling. If you have compassion mixed with it, it can be of service, but if it's just a label and a judgment, it doesn't help.
Yeah.
I was in a really dark place as I was doing Callisto. So the darkness that I was going through, and which is not your question, but it might be able to wrap around to it, is was visceral, which I didn't know at the time. I didn't know that it would be so visceral and it would have such a profound effect on people watching it. Because you have to remember, as an actor, you go to work, you get up in the morning, you get body painted, you put on your black leather bikini, you hold a cold sword, you get a cup of tea, and then you do your lines. And then you go home. It's a job. And so it's easy to forget, at least for me, especially back then, because I was in such a rough place. I wasn't like, oh, I want to watch this episode, or I want to go see what I did. I could care less. Like, I was like, that's done. I'm going to go home. So it wasn't that I was interested in it. That's probably wasn't why I wasn't such a great actress. It wasn't, in fact, I thought it was some of the worst work I had ever done. I hadn't seen it. And I was like, my parents are just going to make fun of me. This is going to be like a comic book, over the top, ridiculous thing. And it did have that comic book feel to it, which I don't mind at all. But it's such a vast difference from my judgment of Hercules with Xena. Also, I'm riffing, but even wearing, which I've shared before, like wearing that leather bikini was very different on the set of Xena, and then wearing that on the set of Hercules felt wildly different.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was. The energy was completely different on both shows. Very, very different. It's not, you don't have the same crews. You don't. Even though, the producers are the same. It had a very powerful female feel on Xena. Really, like, It was, and it was rough. For me, it was really rough. It wasn't necessarily soft or cuddly, or it wasn't any of that. Although I did have some really good friends that I made that were amazing. But the set itself was like, you go, you do the job. That where I was like, I just want to make sure, especially because I was so dark in the very beginning, internally myself, I want to make sure I'm honorable and I do the job.
Yeah.
I show up, I do the job. I don't waste people's time. I don't waste money because it costs money if you forget your lines and then you're still filming. So that was my main concern. And yeah, and to be a team player.
That's amazing.
So that is so interesting because one of the things we were talking about, just like, you know, compiling interview, the questions and things, is like, I wonder how different Hercules would have been to Xena. And I think as fans, we feel that through the screen as well. Like, you feel the empowerment of female in Xena, and then Hercules is just this.
Yeah, no, it's insipid. It's insipid. It's like, but if you watch my work with Kevin Sorbo, I have so much fun because I'm like, fuck that.
Yes.
Because at one point, and I have shared this before, we were always at a round table and Kevin was one of the producers. So someone had written me, I remember the first time I did Hercules, and they had written my character, you know, snarky. She's snarky. That's how she is. So they wrote all these like fast one-liners to like cut him. And he was like, nope, she's not saying that. She's not saying that. She's not saying that. And I remember sitting there looking at him being like, you can cut all my lines because I don't need lines.
Yes.
I don't need lines. We're going to play. It's on. It's on.
I love that.
I love this so much.
Hudson Leick does not need lines to serve Kevin Sorbo. That's fucking excellent.
Yes. So Hudson, was there a moment where you surprised yourself as an actor when you were playing the role of Callisto? Like, did things just instinctually just come out as Callisto and later you were surprised? Like as if it wasn't planned?
Good God, no. No, it was wildly easy. And although I wouldn't say it was necessarily fun in the beginning because of my own personal stuff, I think maybe by the third or the fourth episode, I was over the darkest hump of what was going on with me personally. And then there was a lot more light to it. But if you see the first episode, I'm like, if you look in my eyes, the first two, my eyes are like dead. And then if you see later on, like, then all of a sudden there's like all this joy and the fingers are moving.
Yes,
I'm like, I can do whatever I want. Like, I can play more.
Yeah. Hudson, do you mind me asking, and you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but at that time, like in Callisto and Return of Callisto, the first kind of two, were you consciously as an actor plugging into that darkness to bring into Callisto, or was that something that you felt like you couldn't really control? Like it was there
That's
with
a
you?
great question. I think a really great question. And no one's ever asked me that before. I would say because I'm not really in the place where I want to discuss what was happening.
Of course.
Sure.
Absolutely.
But I will, at some point I might, because if I feel like it can serve people, I will, but I just I don't get that internal click of talk about that yet. But I can say it wasn't only my darkness. I was connected to someone else who was wild dark, like wildly, wildly, wildly dark. So, and it's weird to say that because even as I say that, it's not a lack of taking responsibility for my own, if you're in a store and you don't want to buy salt, you don't buy salt. So you don't blame the salt for being salty. So I went to the store and I bought this darkness hanging out with this person. Does that make sense?
It does.
So I'm responsible for that. Although I was not consciously aware of that at all during the time. I was not aware of. But it was, I think that's the best I can do. And I'm also so grateful for it.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't know so many things. Like I don't even have words for what I could say. But if I didn't experience that, I know what I never want to become.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I never want to do that to another human being.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you, Hudson.
That's no small thing to part with us, so thank you.
I can definitely relate to some of that too. It's powerful, powerful stuff.
Yeah. I guess during that really dark time, it sounded like you also referenced that you had some nice people around you in New Zealand in that cast and crew. I'm wondering if there were any kind of Kiwis or Australians that you worked with on the show that you kind of want to shine a little bit of a light on, that were behind the scenes or didn't get much acknowledgement, that you think, you just want to talk about it all today.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the question too.
Cool.
And I feel really terrible about this, and I even tried looking it up, but there was the woman who dressed me named Rochelle, and I cannot, for the love of God, remember her last name. And she's no longer here with us. And she is a Kiwi, but lived in Australia for a bit as well. And I've shared about my relationship with her, and she was, typical Kiwi. Like I'm losing my mind. I'm in the darkest pit of my own hell. And she's like, darling, do you want a cup of tea?
Oh.
And then she'd throw the gauntlet of my arm thing, and she's like, put it on, I'll come back later, I'm gonna get my tea. And it was just so, I was like, I mean, when you're in the States, you're very, very babied and they do everything for you. And when you're in New Zealand, they're like, figure it out. Hey, figure it out. And so she was tough, but she was also, I really needed that. She was tough, but really loving. And she was like,
Right.
I know you're in pain. I remember she was there when I think it was the second episode. Well, I don't know the episodes really well, I have to say. The one where I'm in the chair in the prison.
Yep.
Oh, that's Return of Callisto, season 2.
She was there. Yeah, and that was one of the darkest shooting days for me that I'd ever had.
Wow.
It was the darkest. And I, like, functioning was just bare minimum. And she was there and she witnessed all of it. And she was like, look, you don't have to tell me anything, but I know you're in hell. Like, I know hell and you're in hell. And she goes, and I want you to come over to my house, and she had a side business where she would do horticulture. She would do like gardening. And she's like, you're going to pull out roots with me this weekend. You're going to come with me into someone's backyard, and you're going to pull out it was like a wild backyard. And she was like, just pull the roots out. Like, all I want you to do is and I remember being like, this is so hard. Like no one would do this in America. They would, like, there would be no dresser that'd be like, hey, you, come on.
Come help me garden.
Physically work. And I remember coming to her house and sleeping over because it was that bad. And she was like, you can sleep over as many times as you want. She was gay. I mean, I only say was because she's not embodied right now.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I really, because I hadn't spent a lot of time in England at that point. That's when I realized tea was love. So anytime I'd come home, I'd come visit her, she'd be like, you want a tea? But she wouldn't call it tea. What would she call it? Gumboot or a boot?
Gumboot tea. Gumboot.
Yes, she'd call it gumboot. Okay, love, you want a gumboot?
Oh, mate.
She just give me a gumboot. And so she really, like, to have someone when you're, especially when you're in your own hell and someone sees it and they have been to hell and they're not afraid of it, they don't have to, like, drag you out of it because you can't, but they can say, I see you. And I'm not afraid of seeing you. And I'm really sorry you're suffering so much. Like, I'm really sorry. And let's do something else.
Amazing. Yeah.
So that was really helpful. And then I was, and sadly, she committed suicide.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And I really, like, when I found out she did, I was like, I'm fucked. Because she was like one of the strongest women I knew. And I was like, how could you leave? But she warned me. So she had never been to the States before. And I know it sounds so dumb that I don't know her last name, but I don't really care about people's last names. I just don't care.
Yeah.
But I feel bad because I feel like it's a dishonoring not to say her last name.
No, it's a patriarchal concept. Let's just don't worry about last names.
I like that.
Margaret, that's right.
Oh, I like that.
That's why Callisto and Xena don't have last names.
Yeah,
it's true. So she had never been to the States. So I said, why don't you come for Christmas? This is years later. And she was, like, really going through it. And so she flew to
Mm.
LA, and then we flew to Maryland, which is where my parents were at the time. So she had her first cold Christmas. But the thing that's so beautiful about Rochelle is she was so magical, and she was really strong and really
Yeah.
beautiful. She was just so internally and externally beautiful.
Wow.
But the first time she'd never seen a concrete jungle like flying over LA. She was like, "Oh my God, what is that?" And then
Yeah.
when we were driving around, she had never seen a whole shop of chandeliers. She'd never and I see it and I don't think anything of it. And she's like, "Oh my, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. A whole
Wow.
Oh,
shop,
wow.
a huge big shop of chandeliers." She couldn't believe it.
I love that.
I do too. It was
I
so
love that.
it was so like I get chills when I think about her.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Wow.
she warned me. She said when we were in Maryland, she said, "I don't belong here." And she was still like really firm and strong. And she's like, "I don't belong here. I just feel like it's been a mistake that I'm a human being."
Mm.
Oh.
And I didn't think much of it. I mean, I sat with her and I listened to her, but she didn't seem suicidal. She didn't seem
Mm.
in a great deal of pain. Like alarm bells didn't go off. And I don't
Yeah.
remember if it was like a year later or 2 years later. But I had called another one of my really good friends in New Zealand, and Edith Thompson, who I'll tell you a story about as well, who is no longer here either, but
Oh.
she was
Yeah.
awesome. And we were talking, and I said, "You're in Wellington now." She was in Wellington because she started dating someone in Wellington. I said, "Rochelle's in Wellington," and she just goes, "Oh, honey." And you know when that person goes, "Oh, honey,"
Oh
you're like,
Mm-hmm.
no.
"No." All I could say was, "No, no, 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 no."
Oh
Like as
God.
soon as you hear someone say, like you know immediately that someone is no longer here.
Yeah.
Just you don't even hear them say she's gone.
No, it's an
Yeah.
energy thing.
It's like it was wild. So
Mm.
I send so much love out to her. And she's such a she was so sparkly and so grounded and powerful at the same time. But like,
Wow.
I have pictures of her and she has these sparkling blue eyes and a huge smile on her face. And
Wow.
I mean, she's quite magnificent. I mean, yeah.
She sounds absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like as fans, we're very lucky to have seen her work on screen, working with you. How lucky that is. She sounded very intelligent as well. That story that you said about how she would bring you over and you'd have gumboot tea, and which is like the universal New Zealand way of saying, "Are you okay?" and checking
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
And then doing something which it's when you've got heavy feelings, heavy work is often the answer in New Zealand. So it was the fact that she'd take you out gardening and like using your muscles and moving around and being part of like Papatūānuku
And
nature.
nature and breathing. Yeah.
Wow. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yes.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so grateful for her
Yeah.
because she added to our Callisto that we love. So
That's right. She did.
Yeah.
She did, because there was moments where I would definitely think about no longer being embodied, and I would discuss that with her.
Wow.
So she was like she really the four people in my life during that time was her, Edith Thompson, and Edith. I'm going to jump to Edith. So when I
Okay.
first met Edith, she had no hair. She was completely bald. She had hairy
Wow.
legs and shorts, like men's shorts on,
ah,
and
Cool.
no people skills. So I remember
I love
she had
that.
to be. Oh my God, I was so in love with her as soon as I met her. She comes in the hotel in a marble floor barefoot with her hairy legs and no hair.
Good on her.
And she goes, hey, are you Hudson? And I'm like, yes. She goes, let's go. That was it. Let's go. That was the beginning of my relationship with Edith Thompson. And I was like, I was a little shocked. I was like, oh, okay, there's like not like, hello, nice to meet you, welcome to New Zealand. None of that.
just Kiwi
And
as.
she was like that. She was hilarious and very tough, and like surprised by the fact that people would respond to her sharply sometimes. Like she didn't get it. But sometimes she would, like, because New Zealanders back in the day, I don't know if it's the same way now, they will run you over if you're in the road. If you were in the road
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
You're in the
it's
wrong.
my job to try to hit you.
Yeah, I don't reckon much has changed.
Oh my God, that's the best like read of New Zealanders ever. That's
And it's true.
So she'd be driving and she would be saying, fuck you. Like,
Yeah.
and people in the road, like they're just trying to figure out how to cross and I'd be like, oh my Edith, come on. These people need to cross the road. Yeah, but I'm driving. Like,
Got somewhere to go.
just
Oh,
amazing.
wonderful.
But even though she had this really, really like wild temper, she was also like a godsend, just so filled with love and so kind. And I remember she bought me the trilogy of Lord of the Rings before they shot Lord of the Rings there, and I'd
Oh.
never read Lord of the Rings.
no way.
Yeah, I don't know, we just really got along really well.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of love there. And if I had a hard time, I remember her having a new girlfriend. And I was having another like a day of like emotional. It was a weekend, and I was like flat out, like beyond flat out. And she was just starting to date this young woman, and she was like, "Come out with us." And I was like, "I'm not going on your first date with this woman, or second or third date. I'm not going to be the third wheel." She's like, "You are a mess, and you're coming with us."
Yeah.
So she brought me with her and her partner at the time, and we went swimming. That's all I kind of remember. She's like, "Get in the water." Like the Kiwis are just tough. They're just like, swim, get in the water.
Get on with it.
And that's all I kind of remember. And then I remember anytime I was in the States, she wouldn't call a lot, but she would always call when something horrific was happening, which would make me laugh, even though it would be horrible. Because she'd be like, because it was our connection that if something really horrible was happening in her world, she like would reach for me, which was quite beautiful, but I don't know why it would make me laugh. It would make me laugh because anytime the phone would ring, I'd be like, okay, now what?
Yeah, what's next?
So it was always something really bad until she got cancer.
Oh.
And that was the last call. But she and her mom came to visit us and stayed with my partner and I in our house, and we've got pictures of us like by the Hollywood Hills, the Hollywood sign, because everybody likes that kind of stuff. And and we had like, I think her and I traveled to Napier as well, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was just, and she just, I haven't thought of her in a long time either. She was good. She was a good, solid, hilarious, tender, kind of ruthless warrior.
Oh.
That's what she
Wow.
was like.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And she's really
Amazing.
good friends with the woman who does the prison show, the actress.
Oh,
Danielle Cormack.
Yes. They were really good friends.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if they were till the end, but they were when I didn't know Danielle, but I remember Edith inviting me to a play that Danielle was in.
Oh.
And I don't think I went because I was too tired, but I remember the name, and I never worked with her, so it was sort of did that in the nights.
Yeah. Another knockout actress.
She's lovely though. I have met her. She's lovely.
It's so good to hear that there's all these, that you had all these beautiful Kiwis around you looking after you. That's
and the last ones, it was a couple. So
Ooh.
yeah. Lance and Ava Strong, they're Kiwis. One is Maori, Ava's Maori, and Lance is a Pakeha. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
Did I
right.
say it right?
So Pakeha, it means kind of non-Māori, non-Polynesian New Zealander.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But so they were both stunt doubles, and she would play Lucy's stunt double and whoever else that she would need to play. And he would play Eolus because he was shorter and white. And yeah, so I met them. I met him because he was supposed to teach me sword play, and we just hit it off. In fact, it was because of him, because of Lance, I went on some warrior weekend with him that he taught.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I was like, okay. And he was like, so you're going to teach yoga outside today. I had never taught yoga in my life. And I was like, I can't teach yoga. He's like, yep, the Kiwis are just like that. He goes, well, you're going to figure it out because there's going to be a whole bunch of people down by the end of that hill under the tree waiting for you to teach them yoga.
Man.
So
Yeah,
that's
you'll be
the
right.
very first time I ever taught yoga. And we also like chopped a board in half.
With your hand. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. But I love Lance Strong so much. Like, I'm still so connected to him. They lived in the States for a
Cool.
while and worked for my dad for a while as well.
Oh,
Oh,
But
wow.
they didn't live so close. They lived in LA for a little bit and then they got moved to like a Midwestern state for a while as well. But they're both incredibly lovely. And they would come to set and they would throw Reiki symbols around the set. So the energy would be more expansive.
oh, how wonderful.
Yeah,
Oh, what cool people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they are.
Oh, thank you so much for mentioning them both.
So, Hudson, you've taken quite a spiritual journey post Xena, and we're wondering, in your time in New Zealand, what role, if any, do you think the country had on your journey and where you are today?
It's very hard to answer that because I wouldn't know directly how. I mean, everything's impacted everything. There's not one thing that could impact who you are more than another. Well, I'm sure something could. One, New Zealand saved my life. It got me away from that darkness from LA. And I believe because it's built on volcanoes and it has all that crystal energy, that energy couldn't reach me in New Zealand. So I felt it was a lot of suffering, but I felt quite safe in New Zealand itself. And I had never experienced mana before, and I really saw it. I really got to feel it. And the Pacific Island people of the Maoris, they touched me in a way I can't describe. I didn't spend a tremendous amount of time with them, although I was invited to go to their sacred house, which I don't remember their name.
Marae.
Yeah. So a couple times I went to that, but watching the people, and even to this day, if sometimes I'll just want to watch a Hawkeye.
Haka.
I just want to watch it. I just want to watch it. Like, I'll get on a little TikTok and I'm like, I just want to watch it. And then I want to watch the other team go, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm like,
Yeah, the rugby.
you're scared.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're scared.
They're like, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
And
You'll be
Maoris are
right.
like, we're lifting everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love that because I can feel I just love that.
Yeah.
There is something so rich and so earthy, but so vast in the ether of sky and water at the same time. Like, it is just like, I feel like it's kept really alive.
As someone who grew up in New Zealand, sometimes I take it for granted in ways, and I think that it's just beautiful to hear that from the outside coming in. And Papatuanuku, like the earth mother, the actual land when I am on a hike, when I am in the wilderness, that is the most connected I feel to my body, to my space, to my mind. And I'm so glad that you were someone that came over and were in that level of that place in your life, whatever words you want to use to describe it, that she was able to also give you something. Yeah. And thank you for communicating that on our behalf to the world, because I can't ever overstate how important Aotearoa is.
I agree. I really agree with that. I always do this, but to balance it out, the earth of that place and my feelings of the honoring of that earth is incredible. What I did not find comfortable in New Zealand, and I don't know if it's the same, is how gossipy everybody was. I really found that so painful and so mean-spirited. Like, people, the tall poppy syndrome, where they would chop off people. I dislike that so much. That is just nonsense and mean-spirited, and everyone gets to grow and sit in the sun. Everybody. And I feel like that came from England. I feel like it's very English because now I had lived in England for a while, but it was the first time being around that energy And that's the first time I saw those rag magazines of like, look at her in a bathing suit, look at her cellulite. Like that's the first time I saw that was in New Zealand. And
Yeah.
it did have that feeling with people where they weren't allowed to really say what was going on with them. Like
Yeah.
if they were having a hard time, if they like, and the other thing that's just a culture and it's just a difference that that was
Yeah.
hard for me, but it wasn't. I'm not like I don't have a horrible judgment about it. Like I feel like that that mean-spiritedness of gossiping about people is corrosive and it's poisonous to each other. It poisons us.
Yeah.
It just does. But the thing I wanted to say that was funny and uncomfortable is it's very New Zealand back in the day, is if you're out with a friend and they see another friend, they will both immediately ignore you while you stand there like a moron and then have a full conversation and never introduce you to the other person.
What?
Yes, that's what it used to be like. It was the weirdest thing. It was so
That
weird.
is so bizarre. I'm
reckon
so
that's
sorry
not
you
that way
experienced
now.
that.
It's not that way. It's not that way
I
now.
don't think so,
Nah,
but
I don't
maybe
reckon.
I do that.
No, I don't reckon. I think I know what you mean. Like, I think like the tall poppy thing, it's definitely in Australia as well, and New Zealand. I think we're getting more of an influence from America coming on in, and we're starting to empower ourselves and be a bit more. Because I remember when I visited America, people are like, "Hi, how are you?" and they're genuinely asking. And as Aussies and New Zealanders, like, "G'day, how's it going?" So anyway, and we sort of just I got to give the Americans that they really do connect a lot quicker than us. We sort of just go, don't go on about it. You'll be right. And don't get too big for your boots. You know, it's like, I do understand what you're saying. Yeah.
But there's a balance to everything. Like there's
Of
a balance.
course.
Like
Yeah.
Americans, you can't also be it's all about only me. And like,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
look at how Americans are like, oh, I'm great. I mean,
I'm the
we don't
greatest
even
ever.
need to right, exactly, which is nonsense. Or America's number one. So it's there, and that's a culture. It's not actually. It's too vast to talk about, but
It is. It's a big
it's
subject.
just there's certain things that you can't see in your own culture until you go into another culture.
Yeah.
And there's always things in other cultures that are absolutely amazing and things that you're like, well, that's uncomfortable. So I only mentioned that uncomfortability because I think it can hurt people. Like it hurt me, that
Totally.
gossipy kind of thing.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. But I also feel bad for everybody. And I don't know if it's the same way now, but it's a very demoralizing, poisonous thing. And we do that in our news now. Like our
I
news is
know.
insane in America.
That's right.
And we just rip each other apart. And I
Yeah.
find it's just like when you bless someone, when you speak highly of someone, it's a blessing. And when you speak really badly of someone, it's a curse. Like that's what a blessing and a curse is.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't have to like always go
so true.
towards like I'm better because that's where it comes from. I'm better and this person's
Yeah.
like off or bad or whatever. It doesn't serve anyone, not even the person who's doing it. It just brings darkness to you. It's just not necessary.
It's so important to remember. Why cut each other down?
Yeah, it is a bit of a vibe killer, isn't it? It's that hangover from the 80s of like the nail that sticks out gets hammered down, tall poppy. And there's many reasons for this, but one of the reasons is that for a very long time, we were extremely isolated in the world and you needed the community to work together. And so the people that really like were for themselves really made small communities and isolated communities suffer. We demand humbleness from people, but not in the healthiest ways. Look, it's something that we're working on, we're aware of, and I really appreciate you pointed it out, Hudson, because in my opinion, it's a national embarrassment in New Zealand.
Yeah. In both countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wonder, the question is, I wonder if it's really an embarrassment or it has been shamed. Like the culture is just the shame if you do speak about how you feel or what's going on with you, or the light is on you. Because I think being humble is wildly important, and God knows we need it in America.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think America knows what humility means at all. And I loved what you said describing where it came from. Like, everything has a reason, and if it works in balance and harmony, but everything also grows like weeds in different ways, and then it doesn't
Absolutely.
work, and then it gets changed. So this makes sense to me, but
Yeah.
I don't think of it even as a tall poppy, like if someone's saying, look at me, look at me. It's more like if you have a freak flag and you want to fly your freak flag because you're different and you're
Yeah.
not like everybody else, because none of us
Yes.
are. It's okay to like what you like. It's okay to experience what you experience. I'm not saying if you harm someone. I'm saying if you're artistic and you're a male and you want to put on a tutu, like
Right.
fucking have at
Yes.
it.
Of
Totally.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, this actually leads quite well into the next question, I think. Because we would be really bad queer hosts if we didn't ask this question. We'd actually probably go to like queer Tartarus Xenites if we didn't ask this question. When you first stepped into the role of Callisto,
I just have to tell you, before you ask this question, I can feel how much heat is on this
Right.
question. I can feel it when I read it, and I was like, she cannot wait to ask this question. Like, this is my favorite question. Please don't say you won't answer this question, because I really want to
Right.
know the answer to this
and
question.
also I need to mention that Lou wrote this question, so I'm like going, oh, don't fuck it up. When you first stepped into the role of Callisto, did you sense any kind of charged dynamic between you and Xena, between Callisto and Xena, as in subtext or flirtatiousness, or was there anything?
So let me ask you a question. Yes, I understand the question. I read the question before you even spoke it. But let me ask you a question. What did you feel?
Oh, I've got an answer, but I'll let Xiao answer first.
I probably have a different answer to you, Lou.
Yes,
because
we disagree on this.
I need to be really, really, really clear. Your Callisto is my favorite character. This is so. Anything Callisto did, I'm like.
That says a lot about
does,
you,
right? and it really does. And I personally didn't feel a subtext between Callisto and Xena. I really didn't. I wanted there to be one. But my main focus was probably more on Xena and Gabrielle. What I loved about Callisto was she's a total psycho. She's a total psycho. But deep down, I believe Callisto had a love for Xena in a way. I don't think it was. I think Callisto's just naturally sexual, and we have spoken about that, Lou. It's like there's a sexuality about Callisto. I think Callisto was trying to get in Xena's head by being sexual. There you go. That's probably my answer. I just went round.
Yeah. What do you think, Hudson?
No, what
do you think, Lou?
I'll tell you what I will tell you what I think, I promise.
I think this young woman was extremely untethered mentally and found it hard to know how to interact with anyone in any way, and was vibrating on such a frequency that she did not know how she was going to react in any situation most of the time. She was extremely unpredictable, and I think that it was often violent, and I think that sometimes, because of the look in her eyes or whatever, could be read as sexual. I think that I don't know if Callisto themselves was thinking about that ever. Did I personally hope for a dynamic between them? Absolutely, because they're stunning, beautiful women.
Yeah.
But if I'm honest, that's my read of it, and it's a poor read, if I'm honest, I think.
I don't find it a poor read. I think both of them are very interesting. Like I love even though I played the character, it's still your character. Do you know what I mean? It's your show.
Yeah.
So, but it's true, because it's your story, it's so individual, and it wouldn't matter what I think, but how I felt. I agree with both of you. I can feel what you're saying about the character and how I felt. I think Callisto and Hudson at that time, when I had hormones, because they're gone now, has a very powerful sexual energy. It doesn't mean that it translates to wanting to have sex with someone, but it's a very powerful sexual energy, a creative energy.
Yeah.
And it can, I agree also that if, I don't think your analogy of Callisto was poor at all, Lou. I think it was really good. I think she whatever came up in front of her, she just addressed it as it came, and like, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens next. Because I don't know. Whatever you give me, I'm going to give you something back. I mean, the only time I was like, oh, I'm going to get you was with that Hercules. I was like, oh, I'm going to like, and I asked him, I'm like, can I kiss you? Can I hold your hand? Like, I asked the actor if I could do these things because I was like, I just want to play. And with Xena, the fighting scenes felt so, I don't want to say fun because they weren't always necessarily fun, but they were so, there was so much energy.
Wow.
It was rich with energy, like going back and forth with the actress Lucy. There was this power struggle that made it really delicious. Like, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that power struggle. And in that power struggle, there's sexuality because it's just human beings. But it wasn't like, until, later on when I actually watched the shows, I think Callisto did have such a deep grief, beyond grief, for a lack of any kind of self-love, self-connection, and her watching this other woman who created that or helped, who caused so much chaos in her life, and nothing satisfying even by harming her. It's not satisfying it, which is a great message for all of us. But, you think if you hurt that other person, you're going to feel better. But watching her love somebody else was fascinating. And also, I think Callisto was probably wildly jealous of it, but not conscious of, oh, I'm jealous of that. But like, fuck you. You're attached to this. Fuck you. I'm going to cut this off. Like, you're attached. You love this? Okay, I'm going to kill this.
Yeah.
Because you did it to me, then I'm going to do it to you. How dare you be able to have this when you cut mine off? That makes sense?
Absolutely.
What a bloody amazing character.
When they did the singing bittersweet thing and they were like, oh, you have to kiss Lucy Lawless, I was like, okay. Like, I never say no. Like, Rob called me at one point and he was like, we want you to be naked. He was really strong Midwestern accent. We want you to be naked. Were you willing to be naked? And he's like, of course, we'll cover you. And I was like, yeah. Like, I didn't, and they ended up not doing it because it was going to be too hard, I think, for the cameraman. Like, so when they said you're going to have this moment where you're going to kiss Xena or that whatever characters we were in Xena, I was like, okay. And we had to do it over and over again and try to make it look really sweet. And it was nice, but it was way more fun to fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was way more fun to The fighting was really, the fighting felt more sexual than the kissing.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Do you know what? Sometimes I do read Callisto as like violence is a form of sex.
Totally.
Like,
well, my personal Venus is in Aries, so that would make sense.
oh, interesting. Can I ask you, Hudson? So Callisto, she's an absolute queer icon, obviously. She's intense, she's chaotic, she's powerful. She's also broken. She's beautiful. Broken's probably not the right word. It's probably a bit of a harsh word, but she's struggling. Why do you think that queer audiences kind of gravitate towards her?
I have no idea. Like, I couldn't answer that. There's, so I'm going to say something wildly personal.
Okay.
Which is always very exciting, I think. But
yeah.
And not for me, but just I always love to hear, if I want to listen to someone speak, I want to hear something personal. That's why I'm saying it. Not because what I'm saying is so fascinating or because I'm so fascinating. So most of my life, I've had gay women in my life. Like, most of my friends are gay women.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why. And I would not call myself gay, although Lord knows I have tried. I have given it the college effort more than once.
College effort.
Um,
Oh,
but it doesn't, it never lit me. Although I felt in love with woman, like I can feel the emotionality of that. Like women are just fucking amazing.
Mm.
I mean, not that men are not amazing. Of course, they're amazing as well. Women just, we're just so smart and capable, and we do 1,000 things. We're just really quite amazing. And I think I gravitate towards gay women. One of the reasons that I really, really love gay women is because, especially growing up, they're outsiders. And I relate to being an outsider. And to be an outsider, and now it's not as much anymore, but back in the day, it was an outsider. And to still walk forward and claim that and be that tall poppy and hold yourself as
Yes.
this is who and what I am. I have a ridiculous amount of respect for that. Like,
Yeah.
it's just huge. And I have actually cried about not being gay, like more than
Oh.
once with
wow.
my girlfriends that I'm really close to. Like,
Oh.
I've had women say, "Why aren't you gay?" And I would just sob and be like, "I don't know what's wrong with me. There's something wrong with
Um,
me. I don't know why I
You
could
know,
totally be gay and I'm not, and I'm so
I,
sorry."
it's safe to say, Hudson, that the lesbians listening to this are going to lose their fucking minds.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm pretty sure they will. I think this has just become probably our most downloaded episode in the world. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
I do have to say
Well-
that my condolences, Hudson. Don't you wish it was a choice?
Yes.
Like, I just
Yes. If it was a choice, then my whole being would bend that way, but it just never. And I
Yeah.
mean, there has been tears on both ends. There has been
Oh.
almost love affairs that were just went down in flames of sadness and kissing and going, "You're not gay, are you?" And I'm like,
Yeah, it's just
so
not
sorry.
right. Yeah.
So sorry.
Oh,
Oh well. Oh.
you're
There
a
you go.
legend, Hudson.
You seem more sad than I was.
Mate.
She's like, "Oh, you poor thing." But as it stands, speaking of just sexuality, as the
Yeah.
older I get and more I'm on my spiritual path, and I can't say anything for sure in life, but right now I don't feel even now like I'm made for man. I'm just not made and I'm talking about like a male. Like I'm
Yeah.
not. I still talk to my ex-boyfriend who I was dating all throughout Xena, most of Xena, who I love so much. We just talked yesterday. We always say how much we love each other.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Like, and we kind of both bemoan about it. But like, the more I'm on my spiritual path, I'm not, and I'm older, I'm 4 years away from 60. I'm not at all interested in any of it. And it feels like I love talking about it with you. I can feel the juiciness of talking about sexuality,
Sure.
but I'm really not interested in it. And as I say that, of course, maybe when I'm 60, that flower is going to burst and I'm going to be like, "Oh," but I don't want to say for sure, but my path feels like I really want, this is way beyond Xena. I want to connect to the all that is more than anything else in the world. And I know that's a really strange thing to say when we're talking about acting. And I don't need to go on and on about it, but the mystery is way more important than my personality and my sexuality and my past, although I am very happy to talk about it because I love listening to people's past and their stories and how they got what they got. I love it. So I don't mind doing it for other
That's
people.
a beautiful answer. Thank you.
Yeah, that's really stunning. Thank you so much. And I think there'd be so many people that listen to this that also themselves are on their own sexuality, gender journeys in their life, and
spiritual
it's nice
journey.
and spiritual journeys, and it's nice to like hear how other people have experienced that across their life. That's really special.
And hearing that like connection, it comes down to connection with either companionship or connection to spirit or connection to the universe. It's all about connection that we can all give each other. And sometimes it comes to a point where you go, you know what, I just need to connect with what is all is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't want someone in my way
Of feeling connected. Yeah.
to that. I don't, and especially like, as that sounds so awful, but like I can't accept Adam. I can't imagine, and I love Adam, but he's not on the spiritual quest that I'm on. But I can't imagine any man, even the men that I meet in Amritapuri. First of all, I'm just not interested. I don't have the hormones of that light up where I want long hair and to be pretty. I'm not interested in it at all.
Yeah.
And or being sexy or being attractive. I'm no longer interested in it. And I don't want to, it sounds so selfish, but I really don't care. I do not want a man in my way of that. I do not want someone. I have someone I live with right now who's almost 85, who I take care of, who I love, who's a man, and I love him very much. And I do serve him and take care of him. And it's not my partner. And I feel like, I feel really blessed to have this experience, but I can't imagine being married ever and having a man like expect me to be a wife. I just can't imagine it. I just cannot imagine it. Yeah. I mean, I'm quite a great nurturer. I'm really, really good at it.
Yeah.
I am really good at it, but I want to put my efforts towards the mystery.
That's so cool.
This is a great interview.
This is the best of my life. I don't. Maybe, yeah. Hudson, I want to be really conscious of your time. Okay, I want to be respectful.
Yeah, we've just clocked an hour, so it's up to you.
Why don't we put a pin in it now and find another time to talk? I love our energy, all three of us together.
Wow.
It feels really, really beautiful.
That's cool.
I hope you guys feel that too.
100%, Hudson. 100%.
Yeah.
Message me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Cool.
great.
Okay.
Great.
Absolutely.
You're amazing.
Cool.
We
Okay.
love you. Blessings. Mwah. Thank you.
I'll talk to you soon.
Talk
Bye,
to you
guys.
soon.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's just us popping in.
Just popping back in for a bit of a breather, coming up for air.
How good is she?
I know. So this is the second part of the interview. She came back on with a bit of a warning that she wasn't feeling too well because she painted her room and
Yes.
inhaled the fumes. Not intentionally.
Not intentionally. Poor
Accidentally.
thing.
Yeah.
God thing. And she's such a trooper that she really just still came in.
I know, right?
I know.
Have you done deep breathing? You ready for the next part, Lou? Me too.
Deep breathing and your Kegels.
Emma, what?
Your Kegels.
What does that mean?
Oh my God. Okay, we have to have a whole nother discussion after this. Anyways.
All right, so we're joining in. We're all settling down to start this conversation.
Yeah. Enjoy, guys. It's part 2, Return of Hudson Leick.
And if there's something and
Yeah,
if
they
there's
won't see
something
it, so don't worry.
Yeah, it's audio only.
Yeah.
like my foot coming in front of all of you.
Do you know how many
My
fans
yoga
we would get if
skills?
we showed Hudson Leick's feet on the screen, mate?
I know there's some weird people that are like,
can make
"Will you
some good
please
money
give me a
on
picture of
OnlyFans."
your foot. Will you please? I will pay you big
Yeah.
money if you take pictures of your
Yeah.
feet."
Oh my God.
Look, that might be my next step.
Yeah, they're
guys.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's no shame in that.
Yeah. No, totally.
It's a foot.
Yeah, no, it's
Totally. We have a saying here that we're not here to yuck anyone's yum.
Ah.
All right, so Hudson, in season 2, episode 14, one of my favourite episodes, A Necessary Evil.
Okay, I'm not going to know what you're talking about when you say season 2,
exactly.
episode 14. That means nothing to me.
Okay, so A Necessary Evil. So the one where you,
Okay.
the one where
good
you
one.
turn into a god and
Yes.
you're the good one. Okay. So you deliver one of the most iconic interactions on the show. It's during the infamous campfire scene between Callisto and Gabrielle. One of my favourite scenes and a lot of Xenites' favourite scenes.
Yeah.
It's just excellent. Are you able to reflect on your emotional choices as an actor in that scene?
I love that you're asking me in such a proper way, and I don't have a proper response the same way. So I remember reading the script on the plane flying to New Zealand and laughing out loud, like guffawing hugely when I was like, Immediately I loved it. Like, I was like, "These people have me down. They just get me.
Excellent.
They get me." It was my favorite, and I've said this because people have asked about this one before. They've
Yeah.
asked what's my favorite scene, and I'm always like,
So
that
good.
one,
Yeah.
because it was just hilarious in a really awful, horrendous way, which made it even more hilarious because it's so inappropriate. It's so Callisto. And it was so, yeah. And because Gabrielle is so kind and soft, and also because she's really trying to like understand Callisto in her way, that's what makes it even
It's
more
it is.
delicious. And she and Renee O'Connor did a great job. Like, we played off each other really well.
Yeah, it's an excellent scene. But you know, on paper, it doesn't necessarily look that way. Like like it does a bit, but like it's your interpretation as an actor and the comedy in it. I believe like it's your delivery that just makes it gold. It's awesome and
But it was funny. It was hilarious.
yeah, but you just made it funnier.
But she didn't. I mean, the way they wrote it, like, let's play a game of truth or dare. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's play a game. What's the game going to be about? I'm like, I'm reading it just like you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
What's the game going to be about? Okay, what was it like when Xena killed my family? And then I get to really reflect and go deep. What was it
Yeah.
like? It was everything. She destroyed everything that meant anything to me, and I got to feel what that feels like to lose everything. And then I'm like, okay, now what? Now, okay, let's go to you.
Your turn. It's excellent. Excellent scene.
It's so good. It's so good. May I ask you, so this is kind of going off track. Before that scene, what Gabrielle's like investigating, what she's really interested in is like, did Callisto really demands Xena takes her to a village and apologizes for all her sins before she'll join their forces to take down that Amazon? Gabrielle's interested in whether Callisto found anything when Xena does that. I don't know if you remember that particular scene at all, where you're standing in a village.
Yeah, no, I remember because Lucy, what didn't play opposite to me,
Yeah,
she left early because she's lead, so she has a lot. She
yeah.
has to, she has the bulk of the scene, so if she's tired, she can leave. I mean, she's always polite. She was always polite and asked if I would mind, but that's a really important scene to have the person that you need to do it off of when the camera's on you. So Rochelle, my friend Rochelle, stood there
No
for me.
way.
And seeing Rochelle and knowing Rochelle knows so much
Oh my
about
gosh.
me really helped that scene.
What an
Oh,
incredible
that's
moment.
so stunning.
I didn't know
So
that.
that beautiful connection you got with your friend and
That's right.
her understanding the darkness and
Yep.
fuck, man.
Yep.
That's cool. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Great
Sure.
question, Lou.
That's really cool. And that's
Yeah.
okay. That's really added such a depth because Callisto says she's not sure whether she really found anything. But when you watch her in that scene, she looks raw. She looks like there's so much going on almost inside her. It's wow.
Well, I can tell you what I felt at that time when I was doing it that I
Yeah.
can remember. I remember feeling the confusion of someone saying they're sorry, but not really meaning it.
Yeah.
That's how it felt to me. Like, it was like, I'm sorry, fuck you.
Yeah.
I killed your whole family. Are you happy
Yeah.
now? Like being told you're sorry. And that was my interpretation. Like, I haven't watched it in a very long time, but that's the way Callisto's ears were hearing
Yeah.
it and wanting it so desperately, like wanting the I'm so sorry, but it not hitting this. It didn't hit the it hit the wound, but it didn't mend the wound. It didn't feel like, what can I do to amend this? And so it was very confusing because the wound wildly opened, but then it was like that's what I remember. I don't even remember the scene, but I remember
Yeah.
Xena being like, blah, 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 blah. And then she left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy now? Like, that's how it felt. But I don't know. I haven't watched that scene in a very long time. But I remember the feelings of it because Lucy wasn't there for the turnaround. So I remember looking at Rochelle, and there was already so much going on inside me that was unbelievable. And then
Mm.
to have that on the other side, looking at me with such love.
Oh man,
Mm.
how beautiful.
Good. It was good.
Yeah, it's juicy
Yeah, it was
stuff.
good.
It's really cool, man.
It's just got to be one of the best episodes ever, doesn't it?
Best character.
I'm so sorry. I know that I'm really much always the one that stays on track, but I've got so many
Yeah,
questions.
what's this
episode.
about?
Can I
Hey,
ask one
normally I'm
more?
the one
I
not
know.
going.
Kind of having this like little breath in between has been unbelievably cool in the sense that we had a bit of a conversation. I was able to go away and like think about that conversation, and then I went and watched a few more of your episodes and then come back here. And you mentioned that like that darkness for yourself was very much like fixed to the early ones, and then we get here to kind of a necessary evil, and you're starting to be able to loosen up, and you're seeing like the spidery fingers and the like
Yeah.
movements. I just wanted to say that like hearing that and then going back and watching it, and necessary evil is like you see this real levity to Callisto that you don't really see before. She's like
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
joyous, and she's like
Yes, really joyous.
playful. She's very
Yeah.
playful, like how you're holding your body, like your
Everything.
hips and that sort of stuff, like how you go. It's just, I think as a watcher without that context, I had always put it down to just like Callisto's got her own mortality. She gets to fight Xena forever if she so chooses. But to know that there was that like other side of it for the actor is really
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah. I think it's always interesting to know what's going on for the actor. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
interested, but I mean, I used to act, so it's always interesting to me what's going on with the actor at that point and how they get to where they're getting. But also, I was so happy to be alive, genuinely. Hudson
Yeah.
was so happy to be alive. And I think, and I've shared this before, when Gabrielle thinks that I'm Xena. Of course, I'm not Xena. She knows Xena's hands, like good God. And she grabs Callisto's hand, and Callisto pops
Yeah.
up. My boyfriend was there with me for the first time. And he'd be making fun of me like nobody's business. Like nobody can make fun of me the way he can make fun of me. I mean, it's hilarious. He calls me on everything, but he really does it in such a loving, humorous way, but it's all true. And I was so happy he was there. I was just so, I remember coming out of like being lifted up and being like, Hudson was so
Oh,
joyful.
wonderful.
When I had the knife and I stabbed myself, I was just like, I was so delighted, which worked really well because I was in Tartarus for a while, right?
Yeah. Life imitating art. Beautiful.
Or not Tartarus. I was in
That hole
what a stuck
in the
place.
ground.
The whole.
Yeah, that
Just
whole.
the whole.
That particular
That's
scene when
cool.
you come out, like your face, you're alive, like you're so alive. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so happy. I'm so happy. That's like one of the happiest moments I had. And I remember feeling it like, oh my fucking God, I never knew that I would be
wow.
happy
Oh,
again.
wow.
Like I never knew that I would feel this much joy again. Because when you're in it, you don't, when it ends, whatever the pain is, it dwindles. I mean, life is what it is, and it goes up and down and sideways, and that's just what it's like. That's true. But when you're in it and you feel like, you know, the only solution is to kill the body, that's pretty bleak. But that's never the solution. Never. The poor body didn't do anything.
Yeah. It's just holding us. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to kill the body.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
true.
right. Yeah.
It does feel very glib moving like this and continuing, but we will do it. Okay. Hudson.
Righty, it sounds funny. So Hudson, when you were wearing that black outfit.
So that black bikini.
In episode 30.
No, fuck. No, okay. So
2.4 seconds in.
Do you remember when you turned your head?
Lou loves detail. Yeah.
okay. Hudson, this is a very comic book guy question, I'm sorry. Fallen Angel, season 5, episode 1.
You were good in school.
That's very kind of you to
stayed in
say.
school.
She was good.
You've noted in the past that you would have played the redeemed version of Callisto differently if you were to have a shot at it again. Yeah, I'm just wondering what that would look
Yeah.
like.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I can't say I would play it any better. Like I could never promise that I could play it better than what I did, but I think that my it's so funny, my ego's like, and I didn't like my outfit. I wanted a different outfit. Like that's where my ego goes. But the way I played her was if you had died, and I don't think I'm off track, but I think it's very difficult to play, and I think I would have
Mm,
played it more adult because I played it more childlike, but that's what I think of it when it comes to
yeah.
innocence, right? So purity,
Mm.
it's very hard to play purity without seeming like a twit.
Yeah, yeah. What a great character though Callisto is, seriously. That it really is that opposite, that the even visually, like she's everything opposite to Xena.
Mm.
Right, but TJ Scott wanted me to dye my hair black.
Really?
And I said no.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
So when I got there, he was like, "You should dye your hair black." And I'm like, "I'm not dyeing my hair black." I loved I also loved the
Yeah,
dichotomy of how absolutely different we
Mm.
completely
yeah,
look too. That makes it sort of fun and like like Snow White and
yeah,
Rose Red, that kind of like
yeah. It's
that
seeing and
thing.
yang.
But where I was going just with the answer, I just
Yeah.
want to finish answering
Sure.
that question. And I'm sorry if it's not succinct, but
Mm.
she's Callisto is just a being that could go in any direction.
Wow, man.
Yeah. So we didn't know where Callisto would end. This is what happened to her.
Mm.
This is how she dealt with it. Very similar to Xena of I don't even know Xena's story of how she became a killer. How did Xena become a killer?
Lou.
Yeah, okay. I'll do it quickly. It's not dissimilar to Callisto's in a way. A warlord came to her like hometown, Amphipolis, and killed her brother. Yeah.
Yeah. So she that's yeah, so she literally did to me what
Yeah.
was done to
Yeah,
her.
Yeah. An eye for an eye,
Yeah.
we're all blind.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah, yeah.
that's right.
Mm.
Gandhi. Yeah. So we don't know what she would have turned out otherwise. But if I did it again, I would do it more with a solid voice. I don't know if I would have done it
Mm.
so differently. I'm so different now, though. But I would do it as like how I'm talking from my belly button
Uh-huh.
now. Like it would be solid. Like it would be someone coming to the realization of what they've created and having to deal with it
Yeah.
as an adult instead of feeling like I was the 9-year-old that family was slaughtered,
Mm.
however old I was, like that child's place, but instead to be like an
Mm.
adult and also like still be fascinated by it. Like, well, I wouldn't do that. Like, why? If you told me, Hudson, you
Yeah.
just murdered a bunch of people, I'd be like, what? No. Although knowing me, I'd probably be like, did I? Did I? So yes, I'd play her differently. And it would be, I hope, genius. Of course.
We
I
know
hope.
it would be.
It was still pretty awesome.
It
Yeah.
was.
So I have to ask, I was just wondering, would you be able to tell us a little bit more about your reaction to finding out that you'd be
Mm.
Eve's spirit donor? Mama?
I loved it. Rob called.
Yeah.
When he
Yeah,
called and
yeah, yeah.
he thought it was goofy. I don't think it was his idea. It must have been maybe Steven Sears' idea, but it was someone else's idea. And he was like, I don't know about that. And that's what's so great about him. He's like, what do you think about that? And I was like, no, that's karma.
Yeah.
Like, that's beautiful. What could be? And the fact that she asks, like Callisto asks Xena if she can, and Xena says yes. That in
Yeah.
itself, I mean, I never watched the show. I never saw, I'm so sorry. I've never seen Eve. I mean, I know the actress. I've met the actress,
Yeah.
but I don't know the trajectory of what happened after that. But to that point, I love that healing. That is a healing. That what could be a
Yeah.
better healing than saying, yes, I will take your soul into my body and raise it and re-raise it.
Mm.
There's nothing like I
Wow.
have chills.
Yeah, it's
It's
excellent.
very beautiful. Was at the time, so like to talk about it through like a queer lens or like a subtext lens, was at the time it at all acknowledged by yourself or Rob or Lucy, like how groundbreaking that was to see kind of, because you're effectively the biological parent as well as being the actual child. So I keep saying you like you're Callisto.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm used to it. It's okay.
Yeah, I guess, was that ever talked about, like how monumentous that was to see two women creating a child together?
Oh, I never thought of it like that.
Yeah,
Never.
interesting. That maybe answers the question.
No, that's really beautiful. That's so beautiful. No, I never thought of it like that at all. Because they weren't lovers. I mean,
No.
they had enough energy like lovers, like the people you hate are very similar to the ones you love.
Wow.
But I never
True.
thought of it as two women creating life together. But that's quite, I don't even think of it. I think probably because my mind is not, my hooks aren't into being queer. I see it more not
Yeah.
just of the sexuality of the two women
Mm,
in that kind of partner way. I see it more as I can feel it in my solar plexus in my heart, how profound it is that you bring it up and you mention it,
mm,
that two incredibly powerful women are able to come together out of chaos and great forgiveness and create such light. And it's like an alchemy of that, of two women creating something that's alive.
ah, I love that. Hey, Hudson, the next thing I want to ask you about is around, is that today I imagine there are Callistos all across the world caught up in our justice systems, trapped in their own cycles of violence. As someone who played this character, if you were to meet Callisto at one of your retreats today, with all the knowledge and things you have, I guess I'm interested in how would you approach that person?
Well, first of all, if that person came to one of my retreats, that's an
Yeah.
amazing sign. If they're willing to come, that's a door that's open. So I don't want to talk personally and give you the names of the people that I work with, but there's some people that have some rough stuff that come
Yeah.
to my retreats. Sometimes it makes me laugh. It should not make me laugh. The things that should not make me laugh make me laugh. Like I have a one student who I really love, and I has grown a great deal. And she talked about someone stealing one of her malas that I made for her, and so she went to the house and beat
Right.
them up. And
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
no,
No.
no, we do not beat people up. We do not beat. She's like, but and she was all in it because that's her
Yeah.
MO. And I have to understand where she came from is a life of gangs. And I didn't come from that life. So the only way I can help someone, if I'm able, even, I may not be able to, not everyone can help everybody, but you have to meet people where
Yeah.
they're at. She particularly was so scared in Shavasana. She used to be like this with her eyes open.
Wow.
And it took years for me to not me. It's not me. That sounds so egotistical. It took years for her to trust. And sometimes I'd speak out loud in class. Release your fists. I got you. I got my eyeballs on you. No one will hurt you. I got you. No one will lay a hand on you. Like, and that worked with her. That may not work with somebody else. And that's not like me describing what happens at a yoga retreat is like trying to describe what it tastes like to drink milk and you've never had milk. You can't do it, or water. You can't, like, what does water feel like? You can't, you have to have your own experience with it. Me telling you is like, it's very flat.
Yeah.
Most people that come to the retreat, and I always say this, and I really mean it, we always have the best people, like always. Because what happens is everybody's nervous system starts
Yeah.
to unwind, and then all of a sudden we get to be
Yeah.
genuine and we want to play.
Yeah.
We actually want to play and connect and like each other and be
Yeah.
seen and not be
Yes.
cool and not be on. Like, and then you get to enjoy so much more and they stay friends.
Oh, it sounds
So,
amazing. So
yeah,
how do people find out about your retreats? Is it through Instagram or mostly through the socials and things? Yeah.
I actually wrote it down so I could tell you. So, hudsonleick.com. It always has the upcoming retreats, and we have two 1-week retreats. I did my first retreat in the States last year in 15 years. I have not done a retreat in the States in
Wow.
so long. That was really amazing. So we only did 4 days. So I asked them if they want to do a week for the next time, and they said yes. So the Colorado retreat is this year, 2026, May 11th through the 17th. And then the second one, where I normally do retreats, is in Czech Republic. And I missed last year. And that's also a week long, and that's June 22nd to the 28th. So it's like right after the Colorado,
Beautiful.
2026. And the reason I like to do a week, and thank you for giving me room to talk about this, because this is my heart.
Of course.
And it does relate to Callisto, because, you know, I always would say to one of my friends and healers, I would say to him, and he was older than me, I'd say, when is this pain going to stop? When is this pain going to stop? Like, I would beg, when is it going to stop? And he would go, I promise you, it's the only thing I can guarantee, it will change again. It's the only thing I can guarantee. But I would beg to hear it. And I used to say to myself, if I ever get through this, I will help other people. Because it does not scare me. People's hells do not scare me. Emotions do not scare me. And I do know how, I don't know why, and I shouldn't say it's me. I feel like I have a gift at being able to create a very safe space.
100%.
And maybe because I understand hell so well. And I know what it's like to be on the other side of it. And I know some tools that really serve. And I love to play. And at heart, even though I think human beings are wildly fickle and dangerous and insane, I also think the other side of us is that we are so beautiful. We just have to get through the muck to get to that beauty. And breathing does that. Moving your body, as simple as that sounds, moving your body and breathing in a group of people in nature that do it creates something absolutely undescribable. And to do 4 days is nice, but a whole week, people pop.
Wow.
It's better if you ever are interested, talk to someone who's been to a retreat rather than me. You know, it's better to talk to somebody who's not biased.
Yeah, I really loved your yoga classes at the con. They were really powerful, having a whole bunch of Xenites, and you know, we're all releasing a lot of stuff, and just having that community, and even following you on Instagram when I think you did like a was it a 30-day challenge?
No, it was probably a 10-day. I'll do it again.
Yeah, no, your 10-day challenge was life-changing for me. That was my introduction.
Did you do it?
I did. So that was my introduction to yoga, and I thought, oh fuck it, I'm going to do this yoga challenge. I've never done yoga before, maybe a little bit here and there at gyms and things. And it was my introduction to that type of spirituality was really life-changing. Like it was to be able to feel like present for the first time in my life. To just that went off track a bit. But
no, it didn't. It was so beautiful. And that actually it went off track for the Xena thing, but it absolutely dovetailed into what I love to do. And I love that you had that experience, and I love that you came.
Yeah.
It makes me that what you just said is what a lot of people say. And it's better to have it from somebody who drank the milk and can describe what the milk feels like rather than me trying to point towards signs. You know?
Yeah.
It did the same for me. It did that's why I love teaching it when I started doing it. It does some kind of alchemy thing where it's a doorway to more freedom.
Yeah. Man, thank you. I don't know how I'm going to segue into that last question though. Depth. Yeah.
Okay, Hudson, this is like, I don't want to say it's our trash question, but it is a bit of our trash question that we just have to ask.
Oh, good. Give me your trashy question. Let's see if...
Okay, did you get, no, I was going to ask something really inappropriate and then I stopped myself. How good is that? Self-awareness, becoming awareness.
No, ask the inappropriate question. It's fun. I can always laugh and we don't have to play it. I like inappropriate. Inappropriate's delightful.
I was going to just ask a cheeky question. Did you ever get chafing with your leather bikini?
Chafing, like on my bum,
I would imagine the arms would be
Mate.
terrible.
on my fanny. I know I love saying it to English people because that word means nothing to us. And you say fanny to you guys, and you're like, oh, you
But I
said
love
fanny.
it's so funny. I love that you just said Fanny.
Oh my
Fanny,
God.
fanny,
Fanny,
fanny, fanny,
Fanny,
fanny
Fanny.
pack. Pack the fanny. That's such a silly word. I don't know why they'd use that
Oh,
word.
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Anyways, so did I ever shape? I don't find that a trash word. I find that like I probably did under my arms sometimes
Yeah.
because it was so hard.
Yeah.
And carrying that sword, and I had those little tiny skinny arms back then. Like, yeah, I don't remember complaining. I just about the chafing. It didn't chafe my lower bits at all. Like it's just a skirt, but it's freezing. And wearing the
Oh,
metal
Yeah.
in the
oh,
cold, and it was freezing. And you'll
shit.
see my hot water bottle was very English because we don't use hot water bottles in the States. And so they would
Oh,
give me a hottie
Yeah.
in New Zealand, and I have a bare belly. So I'd put it on my belly. So if you look closely, any outside scenes, you might see a red mark of a square on my belly. That's
Really?
my hottie. Yeah.
wow. Is he freezing?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
I love knowing stuff like that.
Yeah, it was cold, but I mean, I think I wore a thong the first show I ever did, and then I did the latter scenes, and they were like, "Put her in proper underwear,"
Uh-huh.
because I just looked like I was wearing nothing, and they were like, all the crew was like, "She's not wearing undies." Well, this was a long time ago when G-strings were in.
Yeah.
So that's all I had was G-string, and I should have thought about it. It was not discerning on my part because I'm above everybody. But yeah, so
Great
that
question.
happened. There's your trash answer.
Thank you for answering that trash question. I'm sorry I even
Good
put
on
it.
you,
You're
Lou, for,
welcome.
Okay, final question, Hudson. What's your thoughts on a reboot, a revival, or should they let Xena Warrior Princess lie?
No, good God, it's such a good story. I would love to see them do that with different characters, but that if they do Callisto, they better get a really bang on actress. They better get some devious little minx
Yeah.
that's terrifying and psychotic. I hate watching shows. That's a strong word. But you know when it's a female and she's really beautiful and she's the bad guy and she's like, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, but I don't think he'll do that. I think it could be super creative, you know?
Yeah.
Super
Yeah.
creative, and it can be much more clear about the relationships and sexuality. It can be much more uh honest rather than like all done on the side.
Yeah.
So you've got that, but it's also, as long as they keep that, I really felt like they kept going towards some form of spirituality. Like they kept trying to go towards some form of growth and compassion and acceptance and fallibility. And even in the comic booky realm, it was really profound. That to me, that spirituality, that's how I view it, is the best part of it. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't want them to lose that. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not saying that you can't have evil, bad, horrible characters, but I love redemption. I love redemption.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy talking to both of you. I like who both of you are. I really,
Oh.
and you can't fake that. It's not what you say. We're like animals and we can feel what people are like past their words, right?
Yeah.
So I like who both of you are. I like I like your love and your joy.
Oh. Back at you, Hudson.
Yeah.
Hudson, thank you. We want to say a huge thank you for your genius interpretation of the character of Callisto, your depth, your comedic timing, your heart. It shows through the being of Callisto. You're undoubtedly the greatest villain ever in the Xena-verse. Your journey spiritually is also so inspiring. The process of eliminating the ego, the importance of breath, your teachings, the act of giving. Thank you for giving us hardcore nutballs your time today. We are so, so grateful. We absolutely love you, Hudson. And we would love for you to please, if it's okay, to lead us out with the chant of the beautiful Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavandu.
I'd love to. So loka samasta suki no bhavantu. It's an ancient chant of a Buddhist and Hindu, and it means, may all beings be happy. May all beings be free. May all beings be at peace everywhere. Om Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Oh, thank you, Hudson.
You're welcome. One last thing. I think I will do another 10-day free yoga session. I'm going to start doing that, but it was only a 5 and 5. It's not a full yoga class. It's just like, I think it's 15 minutes a day.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Of 5 and 5, but
Oh,
I'll do it
great.
again.
Oh.
It's already written down.
Oh, that'll be amazing. I'll see you
Yeah,
there.
same.
I'll be
Yeah.
there.
I loved spending time with you, both of you.
Aroha nui, as we say in New Zealand, so like big love to you. Big love.
Yeah. So much love
Thank
to you,
you.
Hudson.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Mate.
What a conversation.
Absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Shell, I really regret not just saying straight out the gates that, yes, I did think there was a really intense sexual charge between Xena and Callisto. God damn
Really?
it.
Why didn't you say it?
I don't know.
Did you
I
get
guess
nervous?
I got nervous
Yeah.
because Callisto was right in front of me.
I know.
Yes,
I hear
but
ya.
no, I do have to say though, as we settle into this beautiful outro and we get a little moment to reflect on this mind-blowing interview,
Yeah.
double interview, back to back, got that I did really love getting that chance in between, where like she'd kind of told us a little bit of information, we could go away and watch and then come back into that conversation, and she'd highlighted that she herself felt freer kind of from like intimate stranger onwards and like a necessary evil onwards, and it was so cool as a fan to be able to like absorb that performance in that different way.
Yeah. We have to talk about the college effort, please. It's true when I said lesbians are going to lose their fucking mind. She gave it a good college effort. Kill me!
The college effort. What came to your mind when that first came up?
What came to my mind?
Yeah, what does those words mean to you?
Well, to me, it was, you know, when you get into college and you experiment, that's how I took it.
That's where my mind went to. Do you know what? I literally had to Google it afterwards. That's not what she was meaning as an American. The college effort, correct me if I'm wrong, is where you just give it your best darn shot.
Oh, you give it like a good old go.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think that's all we can do with this part of the conversation. I honestly think we need to just put it on the ground now and walk away from it slowly.
Okay. But it's worth a mention.
It is. One thing I really enjoy about these conversations is getting to know like the different relationships that go on in the background between these different like cast members and crew.
Yeah.
One that absolutely blew my mind was hearing how Hudson Leick knew Alexandra Tidings at the time in the 90s and described them as being the epitome of cool. And I do not dispute that. I still believe they are.
They are. They fucking are.
That was so cool to know that Callisto got cast. Well, like she went for that audition because she adored Aphrodite. Like, so cool.
I know. Yeah. And the love for Daniel Cormack, hey?
One of our faves. All-time fave.
Mate. Yeah. Daniel, if you're listening.
Stop! For fuck's sake. Speaking of like Daniel Cormack and cool New Zealanders, how nice was it to get some really cool names like Rochelle, Edith Thompson, Lance, Ava Strong. Lance and Ava Strong are actually members of the New Zealand Order of Merit, like for their contributions to karate in New Zealand. So these are really important people in Aotearoa, and it's so cool that Hudson's pointing them out so we can really celebrate them and their work that they've done for the show.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about, you know how I like my accuracies, and I'm always happy to be pointed out if I'm wrong. We do talk about the hole she gets trapped in, Callisto, and a necessary evil, and I just call it a hole. We should be onto it, right? It's actually called the Labyrinth of the Gods, and Hercules is the one that put her into it on Hercules, the Legendary Journey.
Peanut. And when she says Gabrielle knows Xena's hands, mate.
In relation to when she's climbing out of said hole, and she says, good God, fucking kill me.
Yeah. Because, and it's her saying it too, you know, Gabrielle knows Xena's hands. Like, far out, mate. Bloody hell.
That's it. That's enough.
Lesbian content for months.
Like, and off the back of that, how cool is it that she just seemed to talk so elated about the idea of two women kind of creating Eve. It was really cool. She hadn't felt like she'd thought about it in that angle yet. Yeah. So for her to be able to like come to the table and have, it just, I don't know, it added a really exciting dimension to that, because it is such an important thing, right? Representation.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And she was so poetic speaking about it as well.
Loved it.
We never asked about the scream.
No.
Because she doesn't do it at the con anymore, and I wanted to know why.
No.
I wonder if because it like maybe it brings up like this deep, dark, guttural. Do you want to attempt it to lead us out? Because I think you nailed Olivia's scream, sort of.
Do you know what?
Not really.
And not really. I think, didn't you call me Miss Piggy in it? But anyway.
Actually?
Look, in honor of Hudson Leick declining to do it at the cons, I will stand with a legend and also not do it.
I think it's really important to remind everybody about the 10-day free yoga session that Hudson is going to be putting onto her Instagram. Guys, it is so excellent. It's such a great introduction to yoga. It's really helpful, especially if you like got any things going on, like you just want to iron them out or just learn how to breathe and be present. And her yoga retreat that she's going to be advertising soon as well. I would absolutely love to do one of those retreats.
That'd be really cool.
But she's a total master at yoga. Like the way she moves and teaches, it's just really special. She's an excellent, intelligent, giving teacher.
Yeah. She's an incredibly patient, generous human. And one thing I would love to say to her if I got a chance again would just to be like how absolutely wonderful like that conversation genuinely was. It landed so deeply with me on so many ways, and that was I think very much because of her and her like she's just a really like honest, present human, and it's affecting when you're around it. You feel like quite expansive as a response to like how you interact with somebody like that, and you feel like growth in many different ways in many different places at the same time just from having a chat with her.
Well said, yeah.
Well, hey, I think we are about ready to round this out.
Round it up? Guys, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, xenawarriornutballs.com. We are on YouTube as well now, aren't we? That's a new thing, Lou. Yeah, and all podcast platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. We're everywhere. Follow us. Send us a scroll. We love a good chat.
We love it.
Yeah. And battle on Xenites, hey? Until the next one.
Ka kite no, everyone. We'll see you again soon.
Aren't you glad you asked her about her fanny chafing? I didn't know where to look when you said that.
Hudson Leick saying fanny. Oh yeah,
she said fanny. She said like fanny, like over and over and over again. To us Aussies and Kiwis, man, that was very funny.
Yes, if you don't know what that means in Australian and New Zealand language, it is vagina.
I was just going to say, look it up.